We're back at Wiscombe Park for the second of our two British Championship runoffs, with John Chalmers on the line in his Formula 3 Ruled. Chalmers missed a few of the earlier rounds this season, but on his return he's right back on form with his late model Formula 3 car, immaculately prepared by Techcraft and with 2 litre Cosworth BDG power. He's giving the 2 litre front runners Paul Hames and Tom New a bit of a hard time today, and has already split the leading pair to make the cut for the opening runoff at the expense of Hames, who, as we saw, failed to make it round Sawbench. John finished out of the points in the opening shootout, but this run looks much quicker as he rushes up through the woods and into the hairpin. Just the dash up Castle Straight to go, and Chalmers looks on course to bag his first British points of the 2008 season. He's over the line and it's mission accomplished with a low 37 and a point for 10th place. Another 2 litre runner now, this is Tom New. Outgunned in qualifying by arch rival Paul Hames, New has to make this run count in the V6 Rover K powered Pilbeam. It's quick over Bunny's Leap, and at the gate he's on a par with Hames' qualifier. If Tom can keep it all together through the S's, this run could set a stiff target for his 2 litre rival. The Pilbeam snaps out a line on the approach to Sawbench, but Tom gathers it all up and attacks the hairpin. A brief tailslide is no problem for New, and he charges up Castle Straight. Hard on the brakes for Martini, but he's on the power a fraction too early and just manages to keep control as the car fishtails across the line. That cost valuable time, although New salvages 9th place and 2 points. As he's only too well aware, you just can't afford the slightest mistake. Roger Moran has been a consistently high finisher in the British Championship ever since he took the title in 1997, but understandably this year he's directing his main efforts in support of son Scott. Meticulous preparation and attention to detail have been key factors in the success of the Moran team this season, as well of course as undeniable talent behind the wheel. As Chris Merrick said earlier, he's really been enjoying competing against Roger this season, and on the opening runoff, the difference between them was a mere 700ths in Moran's favour. This is another typically smooth run from the former champion. No fireworks, the car bang on line throughout, but will it be quick enough to challenge the front runners? Well, this time Roger will have to settle for just 8th place. But at least the car is nicely warmed up for son Scott. Martin Grove's co-driver Paul Ranson is next to roll down to the line. Inevitably driving in the shadow of his partner, the Brackley computer wizard has had a season of mixed fortunes this year, in which the highlight was undoubtedly 3rd FTD at Shelsley Walsh behind Groves and Moran. Paul's not entirely happy with the car's handling today, and it shows. The all-out attack required for Bunny's Leap is just not there, and he's almost a second and a half down on his main rivals to the gate. But through the S's, the Gould's pace picks up and Ranson's challenge steps up a gear. That's quick into Sawbench, and a determined exit sends the car rocketing up to Martini. But has the effort come too late? It seems so. 37.70 will leave him out of the points in 11th place. When hundredths of a second could be the difference between winning and losing, time lost in hill climbing can rarely be regained. Pro-Drive rally technician Joss Goodyear has had a season of highs and lows. Flashes of brilliance in his potent 4 litre Pilbeam Judd, which netted 2nd places at Harewood and Lowton Park, have been countered by several no-shows due to over-exuberance. One thing's for sure, he'll certainly be trying, and always provides great entertainment in one of the most powerful cars on the hills. Sideways almost before he reaches Bunny's, he makes it over the brow and hurls the car through the gateway. A really committed attack on the S's gets the car sideways again, but Goodyear's safely into Sawbench and away with a neat, quick exit. Stonking torque from the 4 litre Judd KV4 flings the car up to Martini. Somehow Joss manages to slow the Pilbeam down to thread it through the final left-hander, and with a blast across the line, the clocks stop on 36.48. He might have liked better, but that'll be 6th place and 5 points, good enough to hang on to his top 6 placing in the championship lineup. Wiscombe Park is the venue where Basil Poacher Pitt acquired his nickname. It was some 12 years ago that he bagged 3 brace of pheasant over Bunny's Leap with his Ruled RT3. The gentleman farmer from Wimborne has moved on a bit since then to this state-of-the-art Gould with Nicholson McLaren V8 power. After a determined launch, the Gould dives into Wisp, snaking under power on the exit and blasting up to bunnies in a shower of sparks from the skid blocks. Yet to win his first British Hillclimb Championship round, Pitt came close in May at his local hill, Guernsey Doune, when Trevor Willis denied him a maiden victory on the very last run of the opening runoff. Since then he's been all out to clinch that elusive British win, and judging by the way he's thrown the Gould around, this run could come as close as any. Breaking hard into Martini, there's just yards to go now, and as the Gould snakes through the finish beam, the clock stops at 36.07. That'll be a personal best and 4th place for Pitt. He'll be delighted with that.
I'm with Trevor Willis. Trevor scored a win last year at Wiscombe Park, which he shared with Martin Groves, tying on absolutely equal times, a situation that doesn't happen that often in hill climbing. Trevor, this morning, 3rd place, 3rd in the championship as well. Consistency there?
Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Martin and Scott are very tough opponents to beat here, and just to be close to them is good for me. I'm happy with that.
When you look at Wiscombe, you initially think that it's a hill for a nimble car, but there are a few sections on there that require absolute power, aren't there?
It is. I mean, it's a complicated hill. The first part, up to the first split, I think my car, the OMS, is with the PowerTech engine. The combination of that, the nimbleness of the chassis, and the nice kind of power delivery of the engine, that works really well. And I think it's the quickest up to that kind of point. But then the midpoint, you go into the S's and you go into the very slow kind of saw bench where we're all fairly slow, and then there's a big long straight, and I think that's where Martin and Scott pull out a bit of a gap on me. But I can keep just about up with them.
And a lot of commitment at the end of that straight into Martini.
It's one of those things where you're coming up there. If you've had a good run, you're half of you saying, "Don't mess this up," and half of you is saying, "Well, let's just make this a really good run," and trying to work out where to brake and how late to brake and how much speed to carry through the corner is very tricky.
So for this afternoon, any ideas or much of the same?
I think if I have a particularly good run. And Scott and Martin don't, perhaps I can nip in front of them. But then there's just behind me, there's a whole load of people: Chris Merrick, Joss, Basil. Any one of those could put in a really good run, and so it's very competitive here and good fun.
So here's Trevor now, rolling down to the start line. Although the nimble carbon-tubbed OMS with its motorcycle-based V8 is enormously effective in his hands, as he says, it has limited power. But after that tie for FTD with Groves here just a year ago, no one would bet against him taking the win today. That's a superb launch off the start line and into Wisp. He's really storming up towards bunnies, and his pace over the leap is phenomenal. Through the gate, and he's already half a second up on the opposition. This really is total commitment through the S's from Willis, using all the road. He's really on a charge. Astonishingly quick into saw bench, it's full power on the exit, and the near side rear just nudges the bank in a cloud of dust. Now he needs to screw all the power he can find from the PowerTech V8. It's fast, but can he judge the braking just right for Martini? Yes, that's a great effort from Willis. 35.22 leads the runoff. Now only Scott Moran and Martin Groves can deny him the 4th British win of his career. Let's ride with Scott now. He's one down to Martin Groves today, and it's time to redress the balance. He'll have seen the time he has to beat. Willis has set the afternoon pace so far, even quicker than Groves' top qualifier, so Moran knows he'll have to dig deep. Just a slight lift for bunnies, and he's half a second down on Willis to the gate, but unnecessary heroics are not on Scott's agenda, just smooth, ultra-rapid driving. That's worked well so far this year, and it looks like doing so again as the yellow Gould sweeps through the S's and slingshots out of saw bench. This is where the power of the Nicholson McLaren V8 really tells, and Moran's already into the braking area for Martini. 35.02, and he edges out Willis to take the lead by 0.2 of a second. Last of the line then at this Golden Jubilee Wiscombe Park meeting is Martin Groves. He won the first run off to level on wins with Moran, but with the season now well into its latter stages, he needs to make it 2 in a row. There's nothing in it as Groves powers out of Wisp and across the meadow. Matching Moran in commitment over bunnies, he's 600ths quicker to the gate. Can he maintain the momentum up through the tree-lined S's? This is the defending champion charging on as only he can. He's devastatingly quick into Sawbench, but Moran's exit looked cleaner. It's all about getting the power down up Castle Straight and getting a good run out of Martini. But once again, it seems as though Groves loses those vital fractions on corner exit. 35.41 and an unhappy Groves can only finish in third place. So Scott Moran takes his 11th win of the year, but disappointingly for Martin Groves, he had to settle for third place behind the dynamic Trevor Willis. A fine fourth for Basil Pitt mirrors his form this year at Harewood ahead of Chris Merrick and Joss Goodyear. Once again, it's Paul Hames who tops the 2 litre charts in his Delara with 7th place. And on the championship table, it's Moran, of course, who leads with a commanding 42-point cushion over Groves. Another superb outing for Willis leaves him firmly in charge of third overall on the table as he draws clear of the duel between Merrick and Roger Moran, split by just 6 points.
That's the conclusion of the Golden Anniversary event at Wiscombe Hillclimb. A fantastic day's motorsport in superb conditions. See you next time for another round of the British Hillclimb Championship.